wrestling fans, and welcome to another episode of the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. I am your host, Joe the Panther. I'm gonna pop myself up. The third, and man. When I was looking for guests for this week, I was scrambling around through my old books and just looking through my Instagram, and I was just like, I found the picture and I was like, I miss this lady. I miss her awesome, lovely voice. First, let's welcome back one, the only, Izzy Shaw. Welcome back, girl.
Hello, guys. Thank you.
And
Hello.
and now, without further ado, this lady is something else. She's not only a wrestler, she's also a promoter and guys, apparently royalty. Let's give a warm Dudes at Ringside welcome to Michelle K. Welcome, Michelle. Welcome to Dudes at Ringside.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
No problem. First and foremost, Izzy, what have you been up to since the last time we all hung out?
I have been on a wrestling break. That's what I've been doing. I was focusing on everything but wrestling. That's where I've been. And then I had the match last week in Perth with Miss Michelle, teaming with her. And now I'm not on my break anymore. That's what I've been doing. Just life and things and focusing on other things that aren't wrestling.
It happens. We all have to take a break from doing things we love. Like, I know when it comes around the end of... Oh, hey. Hello again.
1 second. I've got a small child who's sick from school today, so...
Oh, no, feel better. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Poor girl. So, Izzy, like, we never discussed this the last time you came on Dudes at Ringside. What was your energy like in your very first match?
A nervous wreck.
Who was your first opponent? Sorry.
My first opponent was Venus or Savannah. I think Venus was my first opponent. So yeah, that was that's probably the most people I know that have watched, like most of my friends and family, that's probably the last match they saw, and that was the most amount of friends and family at a show. But yeah, it was very nerve-wracking. But it was good. It was good to wrestle. It was like 10 years ago. Yeah, it was 10 years ago.
Wow.
Oh god.
No, I feel like that's old. Like, does it pop up on your Instagram and you go, "Wow, that's 10 years now"?
Yes. Yeah, that was my first interstate match, and that was probably 3 months after my debut. So yeah. Big year.
Wow. So, Michelle, if my internationally known fans are not familiar with you, and why would they not be, introduce yourself.
Hello, I am the Queen of Australian Wrestling and the fairest of them all, Michelle K. Hasluck. I am from Perth, Western Australia. I have been wrestling and involved in wrestling in Australia for 20 years. And I have been wrestling all around the country. I haven't gone internationally. But yeah, I do a bit of everything nowadays. So yes, hello. I am Michelle. Nice to meet everybody.
I think you need to give a little message to GCW before we get into any part of the interview. If you have a message for GCW, the stage is yours.
For GCW. Well, funnily enough, they are doing an Australian tour, like in a couple of weeks. So they've got people like Steph DeLander, they've got Ali Catch, they've got so many amazing women on there. And if you need another one, hit me up. actually.
I just kind of put my hand up a little tiny bit. So, just a little bit.
I don't know why, Izzy. I can't like. I could see you doing anything because you put your heart to it and you believe in yourself. But me, I'm like, would you try to make any of your outfits, any of your characters you've been in, your costumes like hardcore if you could, like, because your
Oh,
characters I've seen like jizz up your outfits and
absolutely.
which
Well,
Absolutely.
which
me and Jeff.
outfit which outfit can you which outfit would you jizz up, make it more evil and hardcore if you went to a GCW show?
I mean, I would probably bring out the old creepy Izzy stuff. So with the gloves and the stuff like that, creepy Izzy would definitely have gone a bit hardcore. But I'm all up for like changing things and maybe I don't know, maybe go back to my black purple phase. I don't know. I'm very much of like a whole. I like changing things, so I'd be like make things a bit different. Definitely want to do hardcore, just not been given the opportunity. Which, yeah, I'm in Adelaide, and it's still kind of like hard for that to happen for women.
It's a lot more, is it
I will
harder in
say,
Adelaide to do like hardcore shows, or is it just like the rules are stricter like
Um,
in New York?
not. I just don't think there has been many opportunities. Also, like we've got a small bunch of women, and we've very much always had to wrestle the women, and half the women, rightfully so, don't want to be in that, and then the other women, it's kind of like they're only just starting, or they're only just starting to get into that, and we're only just now going into the intergender role in like more intergender wrestling matches in Adelaide. I feel like probably we're going to be more hardcore, more stuff like that when we can like have more opponents to wrestle. I don't know if I'm making sense, but just
well, I
haven't been
will
given the
say,
opportunity.
Izzy, after our match a couple of weekends ago, getting thrown around in some Lego, I think that you would be totally fine.
Is there
Thank
a
you.
clip to that? Is there a clip to that, Michelle? Because if there's no clip to that,
Ooh,
Joe Panther the Third and the dudes at Ringside Crew on Instagram, we love watching people get thrown into Legos. So if you have
There,
a clip, sorry,
I
there
was going to
was
say,
a clip.
I probably won't be able to find the clip, but I'll definitely be able to find the picture.
well, if you have a clip,
Oh, the series of pictures I've been showing everyone. The
oh,
story
geez.
of look at me.
There's a video of the match on YouTube. You could always screenshot it and send it to me. And YouTube and Instagram, I posted a clip of Izzy doing a suplex, and it has 1,000 views.
Yeah. So as soon as that match is all cut and edited up, we can definitely sort that out, can't we?
Absolutely.
I don't know. I think the internet likes suplexes, and I think they like people getting thrown through Legos. So, so what is your like? This goes for both of you, ladies. What is your like breaking point for like stipulations with matches? Is there like when a promoter will like give you like a stipulation, you're like, oh nah, I can't do that. Then that's not me.
I will not cut up this area.
Okay.
That's it. This area. So just from hairline there. No, not cutting that up, especially because I've got a wedding to worry about. But I
Congratulations, by the way.
don't know. I think it really does depend. I'm not too sure. Also, if I'm doing it in front of like if you're going to like have me like completely scarred up, if it is something messed up, like I'm gonna be scarred, and I'm gonna sit here going, cool. Your crowd better have like there should be. I want to make sure that there's enough people in the crowd that it's worth it. But I don't know. I really think it really would be a bridge I'd have to cross if I got to it. To be honest.
Mm. How about you, Michelle?
I used to have like some hard nose, and now I don't have any, which is it's a pretty interesting thing. Like Izzy just said then, it's like there are certain things that you wouldn't do in front of a certain audience, right? So like you have a hardcore match and it's still a family-friendly show. I'm not going to go out there and staple my eyelids shut. You know, there's those things where it's like you got to read your audience, you got to know what the promoter and everything wants as well, and not go into business for yourself just for the sake of getting the pops and stuff. But I used to have a real hard no against glass and fire, and now I'm like, maybe not anymore. It's
I was the same with the glass, but I'm kind of like seeing the light tubes kind of goes, that could be fun.
I saw something one time, ladies, on TikTok of a female wrestler got the light tube, they swung it. The girl was supposed to duck. She did duck too soon, and she got caught here. So it looked like she had makeup, and she showed her picture, and then she quickly went to a regular video of herself, and she's like, that's not a makeup job. That's actually me getting hit in the face with a light tube.
Yeah.
So it was burnt like this. It looked like one of those makeup jobs when the girls put the black line here. So that was like blackish brown by her nose, and I'm just like, okay, I'm so glad I hang out with this guy on 8 o'clock at night. I'll be a broadcaster. Anybody promotion, you guys, Michelle, if I ever come to Australia, I'll be a commentator, a manager. Train me a little bit. Train me to take a bump, and maybe take a chair shot. But I don't want to. This little buddy doesn't. As long as my mustache doesn't get broken or beat up, teach me how to take a shot. I have a bald head. I don't know how it look good with a scar on it. Because, oh God, here we go. Short story time. I was putting my laundry away. I was crouching down, putting my pajamas away. The doors on the top were open. I popped up too quick, and I caught my head right there. I hit my head and I bounced down. I was like, and I ran. I could feel light blood like on top of my head, and I could feel like I was like, and I ran up the stairs, and my mom's like, "Oh God!" She had to put the X to X. It was like right before I went to Halloween Horror Night in 2009, right? 2019, like 2018, right before COVID. And I'm like, if I can't take, I told this to my old buddy, if I can't take he's like, if you can't take a bump from a shelf. What makes you think you're going to take a chair shot from a 300
my fiance,
400-pound man? You would die, Joe. Your head would cave in like a freaking Barbie doll.
My fiance 100% could not be a wrestler. I love him to bits, but it's even things like he'll jokingly around like pretend to like hit me, and then I'll pretend to hit him, and he'll like he's no, but he admits it. He's like I love he loves wrestling. He couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. Even if I ever wanted to do something with him, no, couldn't. He would freak out.
Oh no. It's sad because I did my Ghost Head show and I had my Ghostbusters hat on. I came in, I put it on. You can see in the video. I'll have to send you the video, ladies, on YouTube. I had the X on my head. I took off my hat. You can see that X patch that my mom put on my head, and I didn't say a word about it on the Ghost Head talk show. Like, oh, I took a bump. A ghost knocked a shelf in my head. Nothing. I didn't even talk about it, and I mentioned it to the geek, and he went like this. And you talked about it a while. He went, you talk about all this game about taking bumps in wrestling, and you got hit in the head with your shelf and you ran up the stairs like a little girl. Like, were you the one that hit your head against a solid wood shelf? This right here, this criminal hit me in the head. Solid wood. Yeah. It hit me square in the top of my little bald pineapple, my little watermelon skull, and I was just like, I fell back down on my knees and it popped up, and I felt something trickling, and I was like, oh my God, I'm eating, Mommy. I ran up the stairs, and some of the frogs flailing. Not my head. And she was like, oh my God. But didn't need stitches.
Like my mum, like with some of the matches that I've done recently, it's like my mum, Izzy. My mum loves wrestling, and I would not be involved in wrestling if it wasn't for her support and stuff. but she does not like to see the guys bleed because she feels like, in a weird kind of way, because she's been around wrestling and stuff as long as I have now. But these are like her sons and her other children, and she does not like to see any of us bleed. And she's seen me after a couple of my matches, and she's just like, "You're an idiot. Don't scare me like that." I was like, "It's all fine. It's all fine." I'm like, "I'm fine." She's like, "No, I love you, but you're stupid." And I was like, "Okay, well, cool. I'm just gonna go have a shower and clean up and stuff."
That's my mum. That is
Yeah.
my mum. She could never watch me do a match like that.
Oh,
Oh no, she once watched me do a tables match, and she panicked so much after the
Yeah.
tables match, after I went through, that she ran outside and then ran to the back entrance to backstage, and I'm like,
Oh, really?
oi. Yeah, and I just hear her. And I look up and I'm like, that's my mom. Sorry.
oh
I'm like,
God.
what are you doing here?
Oh jeez. Was she allowed back there? Did the security get a little
No,
nervous?
she wasn't. She wasn't, but she didn't care. She was
Oh.
like, I'm gonna go and see my daughter, and I'm like, what are you doing here? Hey, mom.
So this question technically goes for both of you. Like, is there any stories you want to talk about that, like when you're on the road, like traveling? Is there like any road stories like before or after a wrestling show that like you want to talk about tonight?
I feel like I've got a million.
We got time.
I feel like I've got a million, but I've blanked. I've completely blanked, and I think I've already told you the story about Tassie when the flight got cancelled, and I convinced them to bring me and all my friends to Hobart. I think I said this one, but basically, we're wrestling in Tasmania in a place called Launceston, and the plane and I was the only Adelaide person, and the rest of them were going to Melbourne, and I had to go to Melbourne then Adelaide, and they cancelled the flight, and I'm like, oh, I need to catch. I'm like, I was like, hey, I need to catch my Adelaide flight. So do I need to get a new Adelaide flight? And they're like, oh no, we're going to send you to Hobart, and you're going to catch a Melbourne flight there, and then to Adelaide. And then I'm just like went like, oh, it's actually my first time traveling, and all these people also, they're going to Melbourne, but I would really like it if my friends could come, and I got all the wrestlers to come to Hobart.
Wow.
I remember that. Just like, don't worry, guys, I did it.
It's like I got you all in the bar.
See,
So you were that friend that caught me in the bar.
Your Tasmania story is very different to mine.
Okay, go on.
We did the first show in Tasmania. Like, there was me, there was Shippy, there was Joel, Shadow Phoenix, Tommy Hellfire. There was a whole bunch of people because Tasmania didn't have like their own roster, right? So you got a lot of people who like to drink. I guess is the best way to say it. So we had the show was great. Then we go to a pub that was kind of hosting kind of the unofficial after party, and we drank it all out of cider, and then we drank it all out of vodka, and then we pretty much had to shut the bar down because we drank so much alcohol.
Wow.
Very different story.
You know what? Those stories are always the
I wish
best.
I was there.
A drunk Izzy Shaw.
It's fabulous. I love that.
It's fabulous. Savannah's got her own name for me.
Oh, really? What's
Apparently,
that?
I'm Rizzy. Because we once got so drunk, she forgot my name. And then this was at the gym. This was the year that we had the awards night at the gym. Me and her got absolutely drunk. We ran into the ring, and she's going, "Hit me, Rizzy!" like wanting me to clothesline her, as the boys are like tackling us to get our heels off because they're like, "You guys are gonna break your ankles," and we're like, "No, we're gonna wrestle." In her heels, wow. And she's like, "Hit me, Rizzy," and then she kept calling me Rizzy. So apparently, Rizzy has drunk me because Savannah forgot my name.
Rizzy Shaw.
Oh, Rizzy Shaw.
Izzy, Savannah, if you're watching this interview, you're the bomb.com. We love you.
Love you, Sam. Mwah.
We love you.
We would love to have a reunion on Dudes at Ringside someday. Someday. Someday you'll
That's
be on.
probably a story. Like there was one of the Bright City Chicks, the City Chicks show, right? And
Yes.
me and Savannah have known each other since she debuted because I was wrestling before she was. And I've got 2 airports here in Perth. So me and Savannah finally having a match after like 15 years or something like that. And it's like awesome, amazing, can't wait. I go to the wrong freaking airport. And
I remember this.
And I'm there and I'm messaging one of the other girls who was from Perth. And I'm like, oh, so like I'm at the airport. Where are you? And she's like, oh, I'm inside. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'll see you inside. And then she's like, Michelle, where are you? They're boarding the plane. I'm like, I don't see any planes here. Like, what are you talking about? Kind of thing. And then she's like, Michelle, we're on the plane. And I'm like, I'm obviously at the wrong airport, aren't I? And I tried to. And then it's like, no.
You mean you're like Kevin Spacey on Home Alone, running into the airport?
And then I tried to catch an Uber or something to the other airport, and they held off as long as they could. And it was like, well, this is just my own fault. I've got no one to blame but myself for this incident. So
that's sad. Like you think you're gonna make
it happen eventually.
You know, it's funny. You end up making yourself feel like Kevin's parents. You know, you're always late for everything. You know, you're gonna make it in the end.
That's me. I'm very disorganized.
Ooh, I got another good one for you too. When you're on the road, what is it like? What is your go-to food before or after a show?
Macca's.
Ooh. Macca's? Oh, nuggets after a show. I have to have my nuggets.
Ooh, nuggets.
Must have my nuggets with my vanilla Coke. I love vanilla Coke.
Oh, yeah.
Before a show, I have to have my Passion Mother because I love my Passion Mother. And also, it's like the Mother cans, but I like the Passion flavor, so the yellow one. I love that. Because I can get very nervous, I have grain waves because I don't feel like it's too filling and it's still a bit of snack and stuff. That's what I have before a show. Or strawberries. Sometimes I eat strawberries before a show.
I guess if you ever came to America, I have to remember I got to stop at the local supermarket to grab a thing of strawberries for Izzy. Why do we have to go to a supermarket, Joe? Izzy Shaw is debuting in this promotion. This promotion, shout out to PBW. That'd be one of the promotions that you could actually compete in. It's in Slatington, Pennsylvania, and they put on a really good show. Actually, really soon in September, they're doing their anniversary show. It's their anniversary show on the 9th. I'll be there with my buddy Jay Beans on the scene, the Ballot Club guy. So can't wait to hang out with him and do the show. Sitting my favorite place, of course, ringside. There's their last show. It was my first show I ever went to because I live in PA and everybody thinks, oh, Joe goes to all the shows. I try. Everything's like where I live, everything's so far apart because I live in the woods. Yeah. So I went to the show. I didn't expect this to happen. The tag team champions that I had on the show before, and I was like, you guys are going to retain. They must have watched it. That guy lost the belt. The stable that had all 3 guys had the belts. Of course that happens to me. All 3 guys had the titles or on the podcast. I'm like, you're going to retain. The main champion lost, and the tag team champions lost.
Yeah, and you jinxed it.
Yes, I know. I was waiting for them to kick my ass, throw me over the barricade, and beat me up. And the thing is, the heels, I was by the barricade. I was by the ramp. So I realized I was on camera a lot of the time. And the champions, the heels, came right up to me, and the camera is like right here. And I was just like, okay, that cameraman knows something's about to happen. They put me here for a reason. I didn't know what to do. The wrestler came right up to me and was like, I'm 5'1", so I was like, see, he's standing right in front of me, so I'm like looking like this. And they both have the belts, and they're in front of me like this. And I didn't know what to do. I was about to be like, boo. I was like this.
Just boop it?
I booped the belt. I was like,
boop the belt?
It's on the show is PPW. It's their 100th show. It's on Fight TV.
Okay.
So you may have to go back and watch the 100th show and see Joe boop the title. I go,
Just all,
boop. I didn't know what to do. I was like, boop. But then I took a picture with them after in like intermission time, and I
Yeah.
kind of like did a revenge picture. So I was fake fighting with the guy, the new champions. So I was like, I had the belt, he had the belt, and we were like fighting over it. It was
Yeah.
a hilarious picture. Now, Michelle, how about you? What is your go-to show, like food, before a show and after?
Afterwards, it'd be a medium triple cheeseburger meal with a Coke, no sugar. Beforehand, I find it really hard to eat because I'm usually really nervous and just getting things ready. So I'm kind of like Izzy in that. It's like I'll have a stack of energy drinks on me to keep the energy levels up. I try and have a half decent breakfast because I know that I'm probably not going to eat for the rest of the day. So I do try. But that varies. Like I said, that's more of a I probably should eat because I probably will not eat for the rest of the day. But yeah, then triple cheeseburger, medium meal with a Coke, no sugar, and usually alcohol of some sort.
Ooh, what's your choice? Beer or mixed
we
drinks? Sorry.
At the moment, I'm drinking a fair bit of soju, which Izzy got to try last time she was here.
Ooh, soju. Go. Is that an Australian beer drink or is that an American?
No, soju. It's kind of like it's a Korean. So a small bottle about that big is about 4 standard drinks. But it doesn't taste like alcohol at all.
Ooh.
So you get lots of different flavors in that. I guess you could almost say it's like a watered down sake, but it has more flavor to it.
Ooh. No,
But
sorry.
I don't drink beer very often at all. Since we started doing shows at a brewery, I've actually found out that I like the sours when it comes to beers, which I didn't know. I never would touch beer before that. But yes, I like it to drink.
Not a bad thing. Not a bad thing at all.
I mean, who doesn't like to drink?
You know what's funny?
Like we're
You said the
Australian. It's a
popularity
thing here.
Yes,
fun.
we need the alcohol.
You know what's funny? That's like it must be a new popular thing around the globe because in the South, like
Mhm.
the Carolinas and like that belt, they've been doing in Florida, Carolinas, Florida, that Georgia.
Yeah.
There's like the new fad, and I've seen in New York too that the wrestling shows all do their shows in breweries. Is it because they want to promote the beer, or do you think there's more locations in a brewery to do a wrestling show?
Well, for me, obviously I've got this. Dude, where's my ring? So there is no ring. Breweries over here, we do have a fair few, but when you consider the size and the space that a wrestling ring will actually take up when you come to set up and everything like that, you've got to obviously put away X amount of space for the ring. You got to put X amount of space away for guardrails. You got to put X amount of space away for seating and stuff as well, because it doesn't work as well when people are standing up when the ring's already elevated X amount of feet. So over here, we've only done the brewery shows. I think I was the first one to do one in a brewery, but also the person who is the events coordinator for the brewery is a huge wrestling fan. Huge wrestling fan. And not just like WWE or anything like that. Like he likes Big Japan and all of Japan, and he watches like the indies in the UK and the US and stuff as well. So when I came to him with the idea of this is kind of what I want to do, he was all for it. So that's why I particularly do a show in a brewery here. But also, it's really fun. You don't get the very standard, typical, just like wrestling fans. You get a lot of like casual fans who come in too because it's attached to a brewery. We do a lot of shows here that are in, how would you describe it, Izzy? It's like the more like halls and stuff. So there isn't so much you can do afterwards. Whereas with a brewery, it's like you can have drinks during the show. Usually you can have a meal as well. You can have drinks and stuff after the show. And then if you've got things to do afterwards, you can go and party on afterwards.
Yeah.
Just a different
See,
vibe.
yeah. Most venues that you can get for most usual wrestling venues, they're not near anything. Like,
No,
Yeah.
yeah, there's not much to do. It's just okay, the show's over, go home.
go
You
But
the
home.
thing
yeah. But the
the place
brewery
I
shows
like to
go really well. Like, because RCW just started doing one.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a promotion
Uh,
that like the one I told you about in Slanington. Their show is great, the promotion's great, all the wrestlers are really nice. But the only thing bad about the thing is it done in a building that's half like open space, like it could be
Mhm.
like for basketball or hockey, but the other half is like a consignment shop. So it's like you walk through and you could buy random stuff, but they close at like 10 o'clock at night. So,
Right.
like, after the show, normally, like, everybody can hang around and talk and hang out to the
Yeah.
wrestlers. There's a certain time meet and greet, like, after the show and before the show, but
Mhm.
they have to close it up. So, like, there's a food court. That's the other thing. There's a food court. So if you get there, you like get there early. You can hang around with wrestling fans and talk and eat and drink
Yeah.
beers and hang out. But then you can also buy random shit. So if like there's a show, Michelle, if you have a hardcore match in that arena, you can go to the consignment shot area and go, I need something to
I'd like
smash.
to buy
I want
that.
to. I need to take. I'm taking on Izzy tonight, and I'll need something to hit her in the head with. Oh, that Coca-Cola sign. I think that'd be awesome. Izzy, what do you think? You want to get hit in the head with a Coca-Cola sign tonight? Okay. $20. I'll take it. And it's like an old school consignment shop. So it's like you go, you pick up your item. There's a ticket on it. It says $20. You bring it to the register all the way in the front, and you pay for it. Give the clip the ticket, and you take the sign. It's like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like old school, and they have a book. So there's like a book of prices. You can't go, oh, that was $17 on the shelf. No, there's a ticket on it, and there's a book. They have to go like an old school like book. So it's like,
I
no,
love
that
when people do that, and
yeah.
I'm just like most of the time I'm not up at the counter, so I'm part of the counter stuff, but I'm not usually up at the counter all day. So
Mm.
I'm just helping someone when I'm at the counter. So I love whenever someone does that. I'm like, cool. Can you go and take me to that section so I can check which ticket you're looking at?
Oh jeez. Oh no.
which which I yeah, because most of the time I'll be like, yeah, that's a different product, or yeah, well, most of the time, yeah, it's like it's a different product.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
wrong. Ding dong. Daily. Ding dong. Hello.
I'll try and take some money off it for you. I'll go and see what I can do for you, but no, we're not selling it $100 cheaper for you.
No, not for you, unless you're somebody even that's family. No. Unless you wear red glasses and wear a polo and you do a podcast called Dudes at Ringside. No.
If you're my family, then yeah, you can have my discount. But other than that, I can take $20 off for you.
This question goes for both of you ladies. Is there any wrestlers that are on your dream list that you haven't had a chance to compete with in the independent wrestling scene, either in Australia or anywhere else in the globe?
You can go first, Izzy.
Thank you. uh, Chris Basso, definitely. I one day do want to wrestle him. He is my trainer, and I would love to learn from him in the ring. I would love to wrestle. You know what? James Hartness. I like him. I've watched all the Dudes Where's My Ring stuff. I'd like to wrestle him, and he seems like such a sweetie. So I'd love to wrestle him. Jared Slate in a singles match would be great. I'd love to wrestle Zach Sabbath. I'd love to wrestle Mickey Fortune again. I would love to wrestle Jessica Troy, Charlie Evans. Those are the people on my list.
Mm.
Okay. Who would I like to wrestle? I just think about Charlie Evans is someone I'd like to wrestle. I got to wrestle Jessica Troy years ago. But then COVID happened, life happened, and me and Charlie had never got a chance to mix it up. So I'd love to do that with her. I'd like to finally get this bloody match with Savannah Summers done.
That'd be nice.
That would be really, really cool. I think I'm like you, Izzy. It's like I'd love to wrestle Jared Slate one-on-one. Haven't done it. Haven't done it. Would love to do that. If you don't know who they are, Jared Slate and Felix Young of the Pulse are, in my opinion, the best tag team in Australia at the moment. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, they deserve so much more praise than they actually get. So definitely check those guys out.
1,000%.
1,000%. And
1,000%.
if we were going to go internationally here, I would love to face Mickey Knuckles.
You know what? That is the one I was thinking about the whole time before when I first booked you. I was like, I wonder if she's faced Mickey Knuckles. She's on my guest list for like at least since I first started this podcast and we started getting guests. I mix the guests with I don't know what word I was thinking about, but like I tried. She actually looked at my message a few times and never answered me back. And if you're watching this, Mickey Knuckles, please, I love interviewing hardcore wrestlers. Deathmatch wrestlers is kind of like now my thing. She even wants to have you in a match. Look, I got it right here.
Like I've been wrestling 20 years. And I've only had 3 death matches, but they've all been in the last 12 months.
Oh, wow.
So this is kind of what Izzy brought up before, where it's kind of like you just need sometimes the opportunity. And I had to wait 19 years for my opportunity to do a deathmatch wrestling event, which was for... I was pretty much done with wrestling. I thought that I'd done everything that I could do up until last year. And then I got given an opportunity to be part of the premier deathmatch tournament here in Australia, which was called Dream, which is run by Deathmatch Down Under. And Vixen, being my best friend, I was very much like, I don't know how much longer I'm going to do this for. And she kind of said, well, you can't go without doing a deathmatch with me. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's actually a pretty fair point. And we got given the opportunity to do a death match in the tournament, and I really enjoyed it. The match was really good. The whole show was just so much fun, and everyone on the show was just so good to work with, and the audience was great to work with. And that show and that match, especially considering, 15, 20 years before that, we were told, like, people don't want to see women do this kind of stuff. And we still get told that people don't want to see women do this kind of stuff.
Screw those people.
Yes. Women's wrestling is awesome.
We had that match, and then I was like, you know what? I really enjoyed that. Really, really enjoyed it. And I had a fun time, which I hadn't had in wrestling for quite a while. And then I was like, I want other people to also have a fun time and have a chance to be a bit creative and have a chance to do some things that they might not be able to do at other shows and things like that. And generally, I just think as long as you're trained and a professional wrestler and everything, like, it's very hard to make a living out of wrestling in Australia. It's really, really hard. And what's the point in doing something if you're miserable the whole time? So let's do something and let's have some fun. So that's kind of how this came around. And good friend Joel Bateman, who's just come back home from the US, kind of gave me a bit of a hand with this. And I've got to say, between Deathmatch Down Under and doing this stuff, I am having the most fun I've had in about 15 plus years in wrestling.
It's funny you mentioned Deathmatch Down Under. Back in the day, I interviewed a luchador that wrestles in Deathmatch. He is the chicken? No, the rooster, whatever. He was like a bird. He's a bird character. He wore like a bird mask with like a mane on it. He was like he was a fire chicken, fire whatever. He was like a luchador that wore like a mask. He wrestled in Deathmatch Down Under
in Australia.
I think you've mentioned him before. I can't remember.
He wore his fire coat during the show, and I have not heard from him at all since last year.
It's not ringing a bell for me
He
either.
retired, but he interviewed with us, and he wrestled in Deathmatch Down Under.
Okay. He definitely wasn't on the tournament show that I did. So
if I find out his name again, I'll send his Instagram to you if it still exists. Because sometimes I've gone back to old posts and I click their names and it goes like unavailable or not there anymore, and I'm like,
Mhm.
maybe they changed their name and changed their Instagram. But
Absolutely.
ladies, before we go, if there was any young male or female that wanted to become a wrestler, they wanted to get in the business, and like we're talking about an 18 or 19, what kind of advice would you give them?
Do you want to go first, Izzy? Or do you want me to go first?
Uh, you can go first.
All right. So the first thing I would say is find a good school. Find a good school. Have a look at the people who have come out of that school. Have a look at the accolades of the people who are training at that school. Um, Go down and visit the school first. See if you can check in and have a look at some of the trainings that they actually do as well. Because like with any kind of anything that you do, you want to make sure that you're trained well first of all. I think that's really, really super important. Um, like Riot City, which is where Izzy was, like fantastic school. Like the guys who train there and the girls and the people who've come out of there are phenomenal wrestlers. No matter what style they do, they know that they're in a position where they can do any kind of match that you put them in. And I think that's really important when you're starting out to be taught how to do everything as opposed to just one style. But like I said as well, it's like making sure you can see the caliber of the people who are coming out of those schools and stuff like that. Super duper important, and make sure it's not just a cash grab where you're going in there training for 3 months and then you kicked out and it's like, well, there, boop, boop, now you on your way. I that would probably be my first bit of advice. Like, definitely get trained well. Get trained well so you can protect yourself and you can protect others. And if you want to travel and you want to wrestle other places, that is a big thing for promoters and stuff as well, where you don't just say, oh no, I'm only a deathmatch wrestler, or no, I can only do lucha matches, or oh, I can only do tag matches and stuff like that. If you can do a bit of everything, it's like being an actor or something like that. You're probably going to find your niche eventually, but being an all-rounder is really beneficial for you as a person as well. So get good training and do your research on schools.
I agree with all of that. Definitely the different styles. It's good with Riot City that we have 4 different nights of training, and every single training is done with a different trainer, and all of them have different styles. So it's, yeah, yep. Make sure you find a good school. See the people that are wrestling out of there. Just basically repeating what Michelle said. She is 100% right. Don't also, if you got taught one way, know that there is, like, just because you learn a Statman one way and then someone else teaches another, that's fine. There are different flavors of ice cream when it comes to wrestling and stuff. I think that I don't want to repeat anything Michelle said because she said it perfectly. I would also say just don't give up and don't let the value of you be based off your. If you start wrestling training and you are struggling and stuff like that, don't let that affect yourself mentally. Don't let the value of yourself. Don't let your skill level reflect like your mental health. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm sorry. Just
No, it's okay.
It's not an easy
yeah,
thing to
yeah.
do.
Yeah.
I was pretty lucky when it came to wrestling. Like, I started pretty early. I know that you started really early as well, Izzy. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I got bumping really quickly. Bumping was something that I could do really, really quickly. And that was awesome. Like, knowing that I could do that. But I had a real hard time with like lefts and rights. So when
Yeah.
it came to like submissions and stuff like that, it's like just grab the left leg and then step over the right leg. And I'm like, like, and it gets frustrating, but repetition and habit, it's a 28-day cycle to learn that stuff. So if you don't get it straight away, that's okay. That's okay if you don't get it straight away, because it's not easy for everyone. But like I said, building a habit is a 28-day process. So just remember that if you don't get it the first time, it's probably going to take 28 sessions of training to get it through your head.
Yeah. I know too many people that just get so frustrated with themselves because they can't get this move right. And it's like, it's fine. Well, you'll get there. I started with Rhea Ripley. We started training at the same time. I know how mentally messed up you can feel if you don't feel like you're good enough. And it's like, you cannot be in that mindset.
No, because
you can't.
It damages you in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Like, it's hard. Like, but I want to thank you both so much from the bottom of my heart. I can't even thank you more. And I'm Izzy. I wish you nothing but the best of luck on your journey with wrestling. And Michelle, also you, both of you guys, I want to thank you both from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for coming on the podcast. Izzy, thank you again for doing your episode, part 2 of the Izzy journey.
3.
It's your third time coming on the podcast?
Third interview, yeah.
It feels like number 2. I don't know why. It feels like part 2. I don't know why it feels
You
like part
forgot
2.
about me.
No, we haven't been together. That's why the fans. That's why you had to say you remember me like that. So, thank you so much for both of you for coming on the podcast. I'm Joe Panther III.
I'm Michelle K. Hasluck, the fairest of them all, the queen of Australian wrestling.
And I am Izzy Shaw, Exploder City from Adelaide, South Australia. Love you guys. I don't know how to talk.
And we will catch you in the next one. Good night, and hope everybody has a great day.